Hello, greetings to everybody. It's my great pleasure to be on this special platform that talks about Africa, that talks about our continent and our respective countries. Eric Kabera is my name. I'm a founder and director of the Kwetu Film Institute and the Rwanda Film Festival. So Kwetu Film Institute is an establishment that teaches cinema and promotes the culture of movie making in the country. Also, the Rwanda Film Festival has been running for the last 16 years, showing films in the countryside and also in Kigali. So we've been doing this for the last 20 years, I would say. But the beginning started when the genocide against the Tutsi ended. So I came in and I became a translator, a media person, accompanying all the foreign media organizations to cover Rwanda. So literally my beginning started with a tragedy. You know, it's literally like, talking about the tragedy. So that brought me to record and produce the first feature film on the genocide committed against the Tutsi, the movie titled 100 Days. So that was the very beginning of my career, I would say. I teamed up with Nick Hughes, who is an established director and media personality who was based in Kenya. Now he's based in Barcelona. And together we made this film. And with this film, the film clearly projected or became the springboard for all the other films that were made in Rwanda and around the subject of the genocide. So it is in this perspective that I decided to also create a platform or an organization that trains young filmmakers, young men and women from Rwanda to make movies on the genocide and on the realities of the country. So in a sense, that had become literally the beginning of my career. That had become literally the beginning of what is known today as Hollywood. So we made 100 Days, and then we went on and made Keep as a Memory, Through My Eyes, plus few other documentaries that were produced on the subject of the memory. As years went by, whenever I would go to a film festival, people still had an appetite to make a film or to see other kind of facets of Rwanda history, meaning the past and the present and future perspective. So I encourage many of my students to embark on lighter subjects. So some of the films that we've made with our students have traveled, a bit from Tribeca Film Festival. They've been shown in Tokyo, in South Africa, in Berlin. Some of our students have been at the Berlinale Talent Campus. So we have literally unleashed the potential for young storytellers from the country to really have the ability to tell their story. And that's where I stand in, because I see myself as an educator, somebody who really stands in to tell African stories from an African perspective. So on this note, I went on and produced other films. So one of the recently acclaimed film that I co-produced and I co-authored is a film titled Africa United. Africa United is a story of 3 kids who leave Rwanda and go to South Africa to the World Cup. So they trekked from East Africa to South Africa. So it's a fun film. It's just a film that depicts the story of Africa in a different perspective, in a different dimension. And it's within this perspective that we want to make sure that Africa is told through the African eyes and through the African perspective. So that has been my quest for the last all those years, 20 to 25 years. And so the festival still continues, and the film festival is still around, and the film school is still running. So we collaborate and we strive to bring people on board, to support, to be among the partners. We were blessed enough to have the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, who sent 11 members, delegates, to Kigali when they visited South Africa. And we were pretty much honored to have them officially open our school. So it was kind of a celebrating experience whereby from a tiny little school, if I may call it, to be recognized by such a high-profile institution. So we have kept contact. They've sent us teachers. They've sent us masterclass books. We have the Criterion collection, which is like one of the biggest archive and film archive in the world, who sent us some of their films, and they want to continue sending us their films. So we are into discussions with institutions such as the Sundance Film Festival, Tribeca, and we are part of a Pan-African film school initiative, which is called the Film School Network of Africa, and with German schools. So these are the kind of things that we want to exchange, and we want literally Africa to be reflected on the platform, not only to be, how do we say it, you know, we need to be on the table, not all the time on the menu. So I think that as an African storyteller, as an African, you know, pioneer in this quest, I think we are riding over the shoulders of the giants, people like Sambena and all the others who preceded, who wanted to tell African stories with dignity and with pride. So we are part of that new generation, and we're trying to pass the baton to the next generation. So this is more of a call out for those listening and those following, that Africa, and Rwanda in particular, is ready to do business. I think we have been blessed enough to have an incredible and pragmatic leadership in the country that has inspired many other leaders on the African continent when it comes to do business with discipline, to do business with focus, and actually to dignify yourself so that you can dignify everybody around you. So President Kagame has definitely impacted all of us. So if you see like the generation of Rwanda today, is the generation of discipline, the generation of focus, and the generation of hard work. You know, however much people may not have the money or the resources, but I think the number one resource is the brain, and we want to use that so that we can actually appeal to the young men and women that they can use the little resources they have and use some creative approach to make sure that they can deal with the rest of the world. I mean, now I speak to the guys in Brazil, in South Africa, in Ouaga, I mean, name it, in Tanzania and Zanzibar and other places. So we want to connect with the rest of the world, but, you know, really dignifying and giving Africa the space it deserves. Because in most cases, as we all know on this platform, Africa has always been spoken and written about by other people. I mean, it's still kind of the trend with all the things that, you know, patronizing things that have happened around the African continent. But I think it's only us who can change that. Only our voices and only our actions can actually embark on that path of change, and in a dignified way. We don't necessarily mean that we cannot have partners or people who can actually embrace our vision and our initiatives. So we want to create partnerships. We want to create you know, we have partners in Germany, in Sweden, and in the US and in other places. But it has to be a win-win situation, because in most cases we have always had and experienced these situations whereby, you know, we're coming to help you. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you just realize that Africa never got helped. Actually, it actually was the reverse. If they give you, let's say, $20 million within the framework of an NGO, it will be $18 million that will return back to Paris, Brussels, New York, and Washington, and Stockholm, you know, paying some of the guys their mortgages and their salaries and their benefits and so forth and so on. And only like 2% will be spent on the local guys. So going back to the charisma of leadership, I think Rwanda and the leadership of the current administration of Rwanda has literally put focus for people to actually know those loopholes and actually be self-reliant, because it has always been like, you know, a French guy, a Belgian guy, a Canadian guy who comes to Africa to set up a clinic or to set up a film school for that matter. But I can set up a film school and call upon other partners so that we can create. Or I can go and inspire people in other places as well, based on my experience. I mean, one of the good example I'll give is that I used to run, I mean, we still do, we'll take films to popular places. So we'll go like run film sessions, film screenings into a popular restaurant or into a hotel. So when I got invited to Japan, at the Cinema Africa in Japan, the person who was running the festival, she actually took her festival into a 5-star hotel, and she called upon all the diplomats and all the A-list kind of sort of business leaders in Tokyo. And she looked at me and she said, Eric, this is your idea. I came to Kigali and realized that we actually ran a film festival in a hotel. So, and I thought, let me try it. And then it worked. And we got featured on NHK, and we got really good press coverage. And so this is how, and the film that I was showing is African films. I had a series of 7 films that I'd taken to Japan, including Africa United and all the others that were produced by our students and the ones that I produced earlier on the memory. So these are the kind of things that we believe can take Africa and such as countries such as Rwanda to the whole next level. And on the other hand, we have all what it takes. I mean, I may not be able to do films in Hollywood or in Bollywood, but I'll give to mankind what Hollywood doesn't have or what Bollywood doesn't have. I mean, the rolling hills of Rwanda. I mean, most of the people who watch my movies, they always see that I play around with nature, with the beauty, with the lighting, and with people's faces, because we believe that African people are beautiful, Rwandans are beautiful. Why not? I mean, if I reflect, I project an African face or an African narrative through the eyes of a good-looking young man or good-looking young woman. Or I'll give you an example. My last documentary deals with Rwanda's recovery post-genocide against the Tutsis. So it's a film that portrays the journey of recovery, but it's also a journey of a people's culture. And I use dance and music because I mean, my film has been shown in Switzerland, it's been shown in Australia, Johannesburg. So people are attached to watch films using, other kind of devices or other kind of tools. And the tool I chose was music and dance. It's a film called Intore, and Intore is a Kinyarwanda philosophy, if you like, that means the chosen one, or the person who brings forward light to the others, or the person who can actually stand up to the challenge. So the film was shown on PBS as well in America within the programming of Afropop. So these are the kind of films that we want to make, and we have other films. Now I'm currently working on a film about women emancipation and the dialogue between men and women. So if there's anybody who is interested out there, it's a documentary titled "The Woman in Me." And the other feature film that I'm developing is actually a film again that portrays the beauty of Africa and the beauty of Rwanda in particular. And I'm not going to say much, but it's actually a romantic comedy. Not many times we see romantic comedies out of African continent. So I've always been known to make all these sort of tragedy kind of sort of themed films. So now is the right time for me to be in a position to make a film that gives hope and dignity to Africa. If you look at Paris Mon Amour, or like the films that depicts Paris or New York and things like that. We all want to go to New York because somebody has sold us the idea that New York is just this city of golden light. Same thing with Los Angeles. If we all watch all these films coming out of Hollywood, and we think like Hollywood is heaven. It has its own beauty, but it also has its own situations, like we find in many other parts of the world. So for me, my quest or my position or my role or my humble contribution will be like, how best do I reflect and present my continent, my people in a dignifying way, because we've always been projected with so much cliches and so much stereotypes. And so we want to sort of contribute in changing that, So in a sense, for me, for those who have never visited Rwanda, I mean, they can hit me up, or the organizers of the conference will definitely share my Instagram or my Twitter, all my social media handles, or my personal email. I'm a very, very accessible person, because I believe that the world has just become a village, and we're all most of the time working from home. So we have access to our phones and things like that. And we can definitely speak to the world and actually exchange. So it's not about just a one-way ticket, but I believe in an exchange. So the Rwanda Film Festival is still going on, rwandafilmfestival.net. And for those who want to check on what we do is www.kwetu.rw, or Kwetu is Kwetu, and Kwetu is a Swahili word that means home. So if you belong to Kwetu, then definitely you belong to a home that you're part of. So in a sense, that's my quest. That's what I've been doing, and that's what I want to continue doing, and that's what I'm calling up on the people out there to embrace this kind of visions. We have a platform of African filmmakers called AFC, African Film Consortium. We're part also of the African Film Federation. So it's a association. So it's an association of African film festivals. So we try as much as possible to collaborate and to know what all the others are doing, so that we can have a cohesive kind of voice. But at the end of the day, for me, I would say, welcome to Rwanda, welcome to Hollywood. Hollywood is the acronym of the Rwanda film industry, which I'm humbled to have contributed into its creation. People label me as the sort of founder of Hollywood. Even some of my email is known as Hollywood founder at Gmail. So it's always good to play a role and to see that it's actually working. However much, we are not yet there. We have somehow a long way to go. But at the end of the day, this kind of collaboration, this kind of discussions are gonna bring the results that we expect. And Rwanda is such a marvelous and beautiful country. I mean, the lakes, the volcanoes. I mean, many of the people who follow my Facebook page or my Instagram during this pandemic, I just took on the assignment of taking a lot of pictures. I think for the last 6 months, I've taken more than 6,000 to 8,000 pictures, of which I've shared about a quarter of them. About 600 of them have been on my Instagram and my social media. And by the way, I sell them. So I print them and I sell them to friends and family, so that they can actually hang them into their offices, into their walls. And these are portraits that project the beauty of Rwanda through its valleys, its lake, its myriads of facets. I don't do a lot of people's portraits because I know there are many other people who do that a lot, and especially young men and women are busy with Instagram. I mean, if you go Google actually Rwandan faces of Rwandan guys or Rwandan women, I mean, thousands of pictures will pop up. So I'm not in that niche. So I believe in like framing and creating an emotional attachment using nature and using the landscape. I just look at it as money on screen for me. So I don't know whether I've managed to present to you what we do and what we like to do. So if there's anybody who is interested in what we're doing, be it at the film school, be it at the film festival, be it on the producing level, because I still produce films. The next film that I'm working on. So I've got an agency in Los Angeles. I've got partners in Los Angeles, in Ghana, in Nigeria, and in London. So we want to create a cohesive kind of sort of storyline that will appeal to an African guy sitting in Lilongwe or some other guy who is in China, so that they see like, oh, Africa is not like, the basket case that we all are told about. So we want to really project a ray of hope, and I think that's one of the reasons why AGC is here. This platform is bringing to us. So we're just adding a voice to many other voices that are out there. But in most cases, as we know, our voices from the African continent has always been sidelined. So it's up to us to take the forefront and present it as such. So we have many talents. We have if I may close it down, I'm going like what wasn't there 20 years ago. Now we can actually speak of the Rwanda nascent film industry. There are young producers, videographers, storytellers, and I mean you can look at it, yourself. If you Google Rwandan movies or Rwandan cinema, you'll see many names now. Unlike myself, I mean, 10 or 15 years ago, you used to Google, and then only my name will come on 10 Google pages. Now, there are many, young men and women who have presented their films that have won prizes. And we have Samuel Ishimwe, who won a trophy at Berlinale. We have Joel Karekezi, who won many trophies around the world and who got the Italon de Yenenga a couple of years ago. So we have all these dynamics helping. And when it comes to our film school, we still continue to train young men and women, or give them like the basic tools so that they can figure out themselves. And we have a special program that we designed about a few years back, which is still running. It's a cooperation between a German film establishment and Kwetu Film Institute. So it's a cooperation that is known as EFB and Kwetu, under the umbrella of Rwanda Media Project. So we conceived a program that teaches, that give master classes, especially programs to teach, cinematography, lighting, sound recording, and storytelling and script writing. So some of these young men and women have made quite a number of films, which I would be happy to share with some of you who are interested. And the recent one, Woman Lake, is being shown at the Pan-African Film Festival in Los Angeles, and we just finished a television series called Karani Ngufu. So I can send you some of these, and you can see by yourself that there are a lot of things that have happened, and we hope we can be able to continue and engage and have more partners. So I'm not going to talk until tomorrow, but this is what I had about today. So in case there is anybody who wants to engage, so feel free, and welcome to Hollywood and welcome to Rwanda. So that was it.